Yay! I survived the grocery shopping trip and a whole bunch of other errands that I had to run today. And I'm here, and life is good to get out, survive the crazies, and make it back in one piece. Not with everything on my grocery list, but you can't have everything. Hi Stacy, who's now watching. So before I launch into the my stories about my adventures today, I thought I would give you a little update on my bunnies that I was knitting. Yesterday I showed you the black bunny that I had just finished and the white bunny that I did last week or the week before. I'm kind of losing track of time here. But anyway, the white bunny was already done and they're a match set, and I had asked if the white bunny needed to have a matching pink nose to the black bunny, and everybody said yes. And so I fixed the nose, and I also gave black bunny his decoration. So here they are, all done. Yup. So he's now got a pink nose, which I did rather a lot better than this pink nose. So now I want to fix the other pink nose, but I don't think I will. I'll just leave it a little funny. So white bunny now has his pink nose, and black bunny has his little hair ribbon. Obviously bunnies don't have hair, but these represent a character in an awesome Chinese drama that you should watch called The Untamed. It's on Netflix, and there's an even better subtitled translation on Viki, V-I-K-I. It's a free streaming app for Asian shows. So watch The Untamed. That's what these bunnies are about. So anyway, they are all done. And so they represent the two main characters in the show. And the one always wears a white outfit and has a blue forehead ribbon that's like a sacred symbol. And the other character always wears black clothing and wears a red ribbon in his hair. And so, and they have bunnies. And so these are their character bunnies. And it's so cute, and I'm so happy with how they turned out. So now I've started on a new project. I'm doing a scarf. And so that'll take me probably another couple weeks because I don't spend a lot of time each day knitting. So for now, this is my successful knitting accomplishment. It'll be a while before you see something else. So those are done. Yay! So let's see. So today I went to the store, and I went to the other store, and I went to the other store, and I went so many places. My dad had ordered something, so we had to go pick that up from the store, from one store that was open. And then we needed to get cat food, so we went excuse me. So we went to the pet store and got cat food, and that was really fine. Like, that wasn't any different than a normal pre-coronavirus experience, except that there was lots and lots of parking available. Normally I have to park way out in that lot because it's part of a big strip mall. Like, there's a grocery store and a couple of box stores there, and so normally it's hard to find close parking, but I parked right in front of the store, so that was kind of nice. So my dad got to get out of the house a little to come for those things, and so I guess he kind of probably enjoyed that, getting out of the house for a change. Normally I go and do everything for him, but he needed to be with me for the pickup for what he had ordered, and then it was over near the pet store, so he came in there too. So Uh, yeah, and then I went to the first of three grocery stores. I used to go to a lot of grocery stores in a week because I liked, like a couple items this store carried and some things that store carried and the prices over at that store for the bulk of my stuff. But I'm trying now to just get everything in one trip per week to one store, but today, for a multitude of reasons, I had to go to three grocery stores, which was ridiculous. And so the first one just made a quick trip in. It also has a post office counter inside the grocery store, which is so nice. So I always use the post office counter there, so I don't have to actually go to a post office. So I shipped out some books for some people who had ordered books. If you are looking for something to read, don't forget I have books that you might want to read, stories from the road. And so I am still shipping those as much as I have not very much inventory left, but I do still have some. So if you would like books, I do have some books still, and I am still shipping. So I shipped out a couple books today. Went and checked my mail and got a really sweet card from Linda of Florida, who I don't know if she watches these Facebook videos, and I'll send her a personal thank you too. But just in case Linda is watching, thank you for the nice card. I really just made me smile. I was having a rough morning, and that was wonderful. So just out of the blue thinking of you rather card. So that was sweet. So yeah, just a pretty card with a pretty card with a nice note inside. So that made my day. Went to the bank. That was something. I've kind of needed to go to the bank for a couple weeks now, but I've been putting it off as something that was not truly, absolutely essential to me at that point. And today I couldn't put it off anymore. So I went to the bank today, and the bank has changed so much since I was in there like 3 weeks ago, maybe even 4 weeks. It's been at least 3, maybe 4 weeks since I've been in the bank. And yeah, the bank, so I call it a bank, but it's a credit union. So the credit union bank, whatever, they have, like, it's a community credit union. They don't, like, I know in some big city banks, they already had up the big, like, bulletproof glass dividing you from the teller sort of deal. It's not like that here. And so they put up like a plexiglass in front of all the tellers. And in the last few weeks, since I've been there last, they put up this plexiglass for a germ barrier, like a lot of grocery stores are now doing, which I totally approve of. Like, that's cool, whatever. But they also wanted me to stand 6 feet back to maintain, proper social distancing on top of that. But how are you supposed, like, I'm all for taking whatever safety measures are necessary, guys. Like, I'm not one of these scoff at the whatever. If it could help, I'll try it, But how are you supposed to interact with a teller to do all your banking from 6 feet away? Like, that's crazy. So, I started 6 feet back, and then I had to step forward to give her my ID, and then step forward again to give her the checks I needed to deposit, and then step forward again to retrieve the stuff from her. And it was just kind of ridiculous. So, anyway, I don't know about that. Like, that's just kind of weird. I understand they're trying to be safe, but it's not practical to do your banking from 6 feet away from a person. If I was gonna try to, like, I would just use the ATM if I could. Like, I would totally avoid human contact if possible, but this particular stuff I needed a person for. But you need to actually, like, be in proximity to a teller when you're using, the services. And I had on a face mask myself, and it's harder to hear someone when they're wearing a face mask. And so I was practically shouting what I needed to the teller, which was not very secure for me either. So that was just like, yeah. Leanne says, I guess they expect you to have really long arms. Yeah, I'm 5'2". I don't have long arms. So, like, the teller was nice about it. I didn't realize that I was supposed to stand back because of the plexiglass. And so she nicely told me to please step back, and I did. But also they weren't being very consistent about it. Like, the next teller over, there was a senior citizen that she was helping, and I'm not trying to be ageist here because it could have just been the teller and not who she was helping. But she didn't tell the person to step back. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was weird. So, anyway, it was fine. I got my banking done, but that was just like, how am I supposed to do all this stuff from 6 feet? It's just not possible. And so that was weird. I also went in a hardware store. As long as I was out, I was going to pick up a few things there. And I did. I found what I was looking for there. And then as I was walking around the store looking for that stuff, I realized that they have a cleaning section for, like, Windex and all-purpose cleaners and stuff. And so it was well stocked compared to the grocery store. And so I went down there looking for a few things I'd not been able to find, and was able to find some all-purpose disinfectant sprays, which had been basically impossible to find at any of the grocery stores that I've tried in the last few weeks. So that was nice. It didn't even occur to me to look in a hardware store. So if you are looking for certain things that are not in stock and not food, like cleaners or toilet paper or whatever, start thinking broader. Like, maybe try a hardware store, maybe try an office supply store or something like that, because they might not be as picked over. Hang on, I can't see this full comment. Leanne adds, LOL, I'm 5'2" and know what you mean. Hang in there. We'll get past this mess and be good. Can't wait to see you on Apollo again. Thanks, Leanne. So if you are stuck and needing to find things that you're not able to get at your grocery store, try somewhere that, maybe might have it that isn't so, where people aren't maybe going to think so quickly up to shop for things. So my little tip for the day. Let's see, where else did I go today? I was going to go to the craft store for the red ribbon, but then it turned out my mom had some. So that was good. Didn't have to go there. Oh, my mom's been making face masks to donate, and for high-risk people that we know. And so she's been making them with ties because she had plenty of fabric for that, but they take a long time, and so her production hasn't been very fast. And we found out through the grapevine that there's a town, what am I trying to say? There's a business in town that is a little, an inn, It's called the Outside Inn. Yes, isn't that cute? Each of their rooms is decorated in a different outdoorsy theme. I've not been in, but I've heard about it. So like I think one room's about like kayaking and one room's about hiking, and I don't know. I'm like I said, I haven't been in it, but it's it's a really nice little hotel in Nevada City, and they posted on Facebook that they for some reason had several hundred yards of extra elastic strap, and that they were willing to share it with the community for anyone who's making masks to donate. And so I heard about it and contacted them, and they said, yes, we do still have some. And so I asked for enough to make 5 masks. And so I went and picked up some from the Outside Inn today. And it was so nice of them to contribute that to the community. I don't know how much they have left, but if you're in the Nevada City area and you are making masks to donate and need some elastic, because you cannot buy it in the stores anymore. None of the craft stores have it. At least a couple days ago they didn't when I last checked. Then give them a call. And the inn is closed right now, effectively, but she is still checking voicemails once a day. So call and leave a voicemail if you are in the area and looking for elastic, and she might still have some. So super nice business. They are always very supportive of the community, and so really nice to get a little elastic for my mom so she can turn out some more face masks for people. Where else did I go today? Oh, I guess that's it. And of course the grocery store. So I went to the one grocery store I already mentioned where I mailed stuff and picked up my dad's cereal because he will only eat the cereal from that store. And so I've been buying him like 3 weeks of cereal at a time so I don't have to go there, weekly. And so I bought him 3 weeks worth 3 weeks ago, and he's out. So he had enough for today and tomorrow. So I went and got him a lot of cereal, and so got that store done. Went to the store that has most of what my family needs, myself and my parents need, and got whatever I could there. And then I went to my third store where I hoped I could get some other things that I wasn't able to get at the second store, but was largely unsuccessful. So, let's see. Leah adds, you can use hair bands, elastic kind, for over the ears. Yeah, I didn't look at the store if they're sold out of that. I probably could have. She's got enough to sew for another week of sewing, so I might check for that next week. And but thank you, that's a good idea. I've also seen some videos where you can, if you don't know how to sew or don't want to sew or whatever, that you can use hair ties with like a handkerchief or a bandana or just a piece of whatever fabric that you have around, and use that to do some sort of fancy folding and stuff with the hair ties, and then it works. I actually saw someone wearing one like that, and I recognized it from watching one of those videos. I was like, I know where they learned to make that. But it seemed to be working pretty well on them. Another comment here that's too long to see. There we go. Marianne says, hi, Meredith from Marianne in Buffalo, New York. Looking forward to seeing you riding Apollo sometime soon. Prayers to you and your family. Thank you. So I was looking at the projections again today. The current news is that the peak, the worst of the worst of the worst for the deaths per day or new cases per day or however it was they were measuring it, is supposed to be for most places sometime in April, they think. if we keep up with current levels of proactiveness for being safe. And so if that's the case, remember that's the peak. That doesn't mean it's over at that point. That just means from there it will start to get better if we continue to keep up on being safe. If that's true, and if that's the midway point for the whole thing also, which isn't necessarily the case, like building up to that point is not necessarily the same time as de-escalating, but in a magical world where it's equal, that would mean that I could maybe start riding sometime in late June or something like that. Not counting on that, but just a thought. I've been looking at this stuff a lot, so I'm hoping maybe I can get started in June or something, but yeah, who knows? Taking it a day at a time. Linda, oh Linda, I got your card. You're watching. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And she sent a little treat for Apollo for when I see him too. So, made my day. Thank you, Linda. She writes, someone had a post on Facebook that you can cut a bungee cord for the elastic. I saw that one too, and I told my mom about it, and she rolled her eyes. But we do have a lot of bungee cords, but I don't think my parents are willing to sacrifice them right now. And so if it comes to that, we will sacrifice the bungee cords. But right now, she does not want to cut up bungee cords. So she'll just keep making ties when she runs out of elastic until she gets more desperate. But yes, if for those of you who are also making face masks, that is definitely an option. It's not necessarily good elastic. Like once you cut it open, some of the pieces are really thin. But I bet if it was really like flimsy thin elastic, you could braid it or something and make a sturdier piece. Or, you know, just a thought. I don't know. I haven't tried it, but there you go. So, the store was interesting. Almost everyone that I saw out today was wearing a face mask of some kind. Everything from wrapping a fashion scarf, cotton scarf around their face, to wearing a bandana or some sort of like real mask. And not a lot of medical grade masks, but a lot of, you know, improvised masks, which is what is being recommended so that the medical people can have the medical masks. So that was nice to see that people are following those guidelines for the most part. However, I would like to say something about masks. I would show you with mine, but it's in the wash. They are meant to be worn over like that. Not like that. Not like that. I saw a guy wearing, he actually had like an actual medical mask, not a 95, but a, like, you know, a more basic medical mask. And he was like, he had it on his ears, but it was on his chin. Like, it wasn't even covering his mouth and nose or any, it was like, why are you even, is it a fashion statement? Like, wear it properly if you're gonna have one. That's just ridiculous. And so that was kind of weird. I saw a guy wearing a bandana that he had tied, you know, he tried to tie it over his nose and mouth, but couldn't figure out how to tie it so that it didn't keep falling down as he walked, pushing his cart down the aisle. It kept slipping down, and so then he'd have to pull it up, and, you know, then he was touching his face a lot, pulling it up. So that was kind of ridiculous. So if you are going to wear something that you're improvising that doesn't have good tie straps, figure out a good way to tie it. Like, it is possible to wear a bandana without it falling off your face. And so figure it out before you go to the store. And let's see. I saw several people who were wearing their masks like this instead of like that. And so it would have decreased the amount of germs that they were transferring, breathing out or breathing in through their mouth, but not through their nose. And so it should go all the way up and over. And I'm not a medical professional, but like, I feel like I can still tell you these things. Like, it, first of all, it's logical, and second of all, like, watch any of the videos or instructions from anybody. And from when I worked as a volunteer at a vet hospital too, like, they wear masks too for things, and so you wear them all the way over because you're still going to breathe through your nose. Even if you're a mouth breather, you're still going to breathe it through your nose. So wear like this, not like this. So there you go. If you were not aware, now you know. So please, if you're going to wear a mask, which is now being recommended, even if they're not perfect, it's still better than nothing. And please wear it properly. Also, something I noticed is, especially with someone that's maybe taking it off in between stores or something, make sure that you know which side was touching your face before, and put that side back touching your face again if you're not able to wash it in between. Because if you are wearing a bandana and then you untie it, or you put it like maybe it's a scarf or something, and you unwrap it and then you rewrap it or retie it, if you now have the outside facing the inside, then everything that it caught on the outside before is now up against your mouth. So be careful about that. Another interesting thing, well, I thought it was interesting because I was totally stressed out this morning. Like, I was PMSing, and so, to be honest, and so I was just like, like, I just did not want to go out. I was not in a good mood, but I needed to go out, and I got my outfit that I was going to wear outside that would be safe to wash in hot water when I got home. Got all this stuff together, got all ready to go out, went to put my face mask on, which I put I don't have any like real filters, so I put a tissue, like a facial tissue, Kleenex sort of thing, as a makeshift filter inside, and realized that since this mask was up against my face and it was washable cotton, that I could put a drop of essential oils in my face mask and have aromatherapy while I was wearing it, which I very much needed because I was really grumpy. And so I found my my happy smell from one of my oils and put a few drops of that just in the fabric, and it really helped. And then I felt a lot better. So it's an easy little nice thing to do. I thought it was nice also, even if I wasn't in such a bad mood already. It's just such a stressful thing to go out and deal with all of this, I think. And so if you're going to be out, if going to the grocery store or something right now stresses you out, putting a little lavender oil or peppermint oil or whatever your happy smell is on your mask so you can breathe it while you wear it is not a bad idea. So if you're into oils and stressed out and going to wear a mask, give it a try. So let's see. About the grocery store, there was still no flour. That was my biggest grr about my grocery trip today. There's still no flour except for well, I did find whole wheat, but I already had whole wheat. There's no all-purpose. Um, and let's see, comments first. Leah says, I washed mine and hung outside to dry. Love fresh air scent. Yes, that is also a nice scent. And Linda adds, it's a great idea. I was feeling very claustrophobic and anxious with the mask today. I feel really claustrophobic in the mask too. It's I'd be wearing it just fine, and all of a sudden I'm like, can't breathe, and I have to calm down, because I can actually breathe fine, but I didn't really. The oils do wear off, and so I was out for like, it was probably about 5 hours total today. So they did wear off eventually, but at least for the first few hours, I was a lot more calm about the whole thing. Um, so let's see. So there's no flour. Totally bummed about that. It's been now probably 4 weeks since I've been able to find certain things in the stores up here. Definitely 3, maybe 4 weeks. And, I stocked up. So I'm losing track of time. 3 or 4 weeks ago. Stocked up for a couple weeks of non-perishable stuff. And then I've just been doing the, as needed stuff as we go. But honestly, I didn't think this was going to last so long, these shortages. And so, I was just looking at things that would run out in the next 2 weeks when I did my initial shopping. So, I had flour to last 2 weeks, and it lasted 2 weeks, and then I can get it now. I didn't think it would take this long for the grocery stores to replenish some of these things. And so, I don't have any flour. Well, I shouldn't say that. I do have some flour, but it's bread flour for quick breads and for cookies, but it's not for yeasted breads, which is fine. I can use that for the next week or maybe 2. I'm not really sure how long it'll last. It'll probably last another 2 weeks. But I sure hope they have flour in 2 weeks, and I'm not really confident about that. They still don't have sugar, but I still have a lot of that, so it should last several more weeks. It'll be good for my diet too. I'll stop making cookies. And yeah. There's, if they don't have regular flour after a few weeks, I guess I'm going to be making gluten-free stuff, which is fine. Not what I want to make, but make what I have to. There was no ramen, and I basically live on ramen because I'm a poor college student, and, back when I was stocking up, I was like, oh, I'll get, 2 weeks worth of ramen, and then I'll get another 2 weeks worth of ramen, because that was kind of, I wouldn't call it hoarding, but that was the only thing that I kind of bought, way more of than I thought that I would possibly need before, certainly they would have more when I needed it in 3 or 4 weeks. I think I bought a month worth of ramen, and I still have enough for, I think I have about 5 more days worth, so almost a week. And I'm not confident they'll have it next week, so I'm gonna have to change my diet. So, whatever. I can eat other things, but it's kind of annoying because that was nice, cheap food, and now I can't get it. So there's that. They had absolutely no hydrogen peroxide anywhere, any of the stores I went in. They didn't have any rubbing alcohol. I do still have a little bit of some of both of those, but not much, so I wanted to replenish that and couldn't. No paper products, we're not out of toilet paper and we're not out of facial tissue and we're not out of paper towels, but we don't have that much extra in the house. And so I was hoping we could get some. Last week I was able to find facial tissue and was able to get, you're only allowed 2 boxes. So I got 2 boxes, but that just replaced the boxes in the house that we'd run out of in the previous few weeks. My mom has pretty bad allergies, so she goes through it, and it's, we can't get any more. So, yeah, she's not allowed to sneeze anymore because there isn't any tissue in the stores. And we still have enough toilet paper for another couple weeks, maybe, but I sure hope I can find some in the next couple weeks. So, kind of alarming. Like, I'm really good, like, with cooking, with making do with things, and with cleaning, coming up with alternate, ways to disinfect things. Like, if we can't get one thing, we can use a different thing. There's options. It's not like I'm stuck with one thing, but it's kind of alarming going to the store and, 1 week is fine if they're out of stuff. I get it. 2 weeks, sure, there's panic everywhere. It's taking a while to get stuff back. I get that. 3 weeks, okay, we're in the rural area. We might be lower priority with the supply chain. Okay, but I think we're now at 4 weeks and there's still empty shelves, just about the same as they have been for the last numerous weeks. And this is just getting ridiculous. And I certainly did not buy for this extended of a shortage. So, Leah writes, my husband delivers hand sanitizer and Clorox and toilet paper to companies. His truck was broken into and those things got stolen. That's terrible. Like, yeah. Oh, there was hand sanitizer at Save Mart today, which is the store that my mom likes her groceries from. I was kind of amazed. They did have a limit of 1 on buying any, and I considered buying some, but it would have been like a panic buy, so I didn't. But I was kind of amazed. I was like, wow, they have a hand sanitizer. That's amazing. They even had the big ones. But, that kind of amazed me. The lady that was stalking him said that people have been not respecting the one only rule. And so that's unfortunate because, I totally get if you haven't been able to find things and you're panicked and you see it, you're like, I need all of them, but we all haven't been able to find these things, so chill out. Yeah, so that was my big things today. I had like 10 things on my list and I found half of them. So, kind of sad, but I'll make it another week and hopefully they'll have things next week, and if they don't, I'll make do for another week, and then hopefully they have things the next week. And, what else can I do? So, and then after, 2 weeks or so, it's going to get real interesting when it's time to cook things. But, yeah, that was my exciting grocery store trip. People were being pretty considerate, I will say that. There was... I didn't see anyone being rude about the social distancing or the lines, and the lines weren't bad where I went. Like, I think there was maybe the longest line, there were 3 people in front of me, so it wasn't terrible. But, people were generally trying to keep their distance from each other. I only saw one person who was picking up things to examine them and then put them back, which... you're not supposed to be doing right now. You're supposed to look with your eyes, not with your hands. but largely people were being good about that too, even in the produce section. And oh, long comment here. Patricia says you should have bought one big jug of it. Try every day to get things needed. Also look for moisture wipes for babies and use that when you run out of toilet paper. You know, I hesitate to buy the moisture wipes for the wipes for babies because if I had a baby, which was never going to happen, but if I was someone with a baby and people couldn't get toilet paper and they bought up all the baby wipes, I would be beside myself. Like, what then is the person with the baby supposed to use, you know? So I'm trying not to do that and leave it there for the people that those products are intended for. But, you know, maybe it'll come to that. So, um, yeah, hopefully not. Um, the as far as the hand sanitizer, yeah, I don't really use too much hand sanitizer, which is part of why I considered maybe just getting one of the little ones because that would have been sufficient for me because I have about a half of a little one still. But I don't use very much of it. I'm wearing rubber gloves right now for one. Like I still wash my hands when I get home and I take the gloves off and wash my hands. But when I'm wearing the rubber gloves, I'm not going to take them off, sanitize my hands and put the gloves back on. That's just silly. So I don't need very much hand sanitizer right now. So that's part of why I said I didn't need any. But if I didn't have the gloves, I probably would have bought some. Um, so I did wear rubber gloves today. That was also kind of weird. Like, I volunteered at the University Vet Hospital for several years when I was in college. And so I always wore gloves there, you know, for whatever I was doing with the animals. But so it's not like it doesn't feel weird to me to wear gloves. I also wear gloves when I'm riding sometimes when it's cold. I'll put them underneath my riding gloves and it helps keep my hands extra warm. So like the gloves themselves don't bother me. It's just weird wearing them in public. Like even when they're under my riding gloves when I'm riding, I kind of like, you know, they're under the glove and so you can't see them on my hands and then I pull my sleeves down because it just like I don't know, it's weird. So um but I'm glad that I could do that today. I was given a couple pairs by a neighbor, so I have, you know, gloves for maybe a month. If I go out once a week, they'll last a month. So hopefully that's sufficient. Um, and then they're disposable, so throwing them out after use, you know, I wear them all for all my 4 or 5 hours of running errands today. Um, and throw them out, and then next week when I go out, I'll wear a new pair. And then, of course, washing my hands as soon as I get home from that, too. So I'm washing all my clothes and washing all the groceries. And I'm going to be so glad when this is done and I don't have to sanitize the groceries because that is probably my biggest, like, my least enjoyable task as far as sanitation goes. It's like scrubbing all the groceries. It just with a bleach solution. So my mom asked me if I was becoming a germophile or a germophile. No, what was it? Germaphobe. Opposite. If I was becoming a germaphobe from all of this, because she's seen me doing all these things that, you know, she's staying at home and I'm doing all her errands for her, and she doesn't read the newspaper. So, well, she reads like, our local rag doesn't say much. So she doesn't follow the news really. So she knew it's bad, but she didn't realize, she thought maybe I was overreacting. And, she's like, oh, are you becoming a germaphobe? Are you going to be like one of those uh, people who has to always be sanitizing everything when this is all done. And I'm like, no, I'm good with washing my hands as needed through the day, but this is all, like, I'm doing it and I'm glad I can do it, but I'm gonna be even more glad when I don't have to anymore, when we're down to just the regular sorts of germs. Let's see, I think I said it, addressed all of those. By the way, if you comment something and I don't respond to it, it's not because I hate you. Just so you know. It's because sometimes a whole bunch of comments come in at once and I can only see 2 or 3 at a time, and then they scroll up and disappear, and so I might miss one. Also, sometimes I swear they don't show up in my feed for what I can see while the live video is going. They show up in the comments section after, but it doesn't usually occur to me to go back and check it. And anyway, then it still wouldn't be in the live video. So I don't always see all the comments for one reason or another. So if you say something and I don't address it, I apologize, but I promise it's not really my fault. and, so I do try, but I don't always see everything. So, yeah, that's pretty much all of the excitement. It is nice to see there is more groceries in some sections that used to be bare a few weeks ago. Like, now the meat section here is pretty well stocked. You couldn't get deli meat and you couldn't get ground beef for a week or two, but now here we can get that. Doesn't help me any. I don't eat a lot of meat, but my parents are happy about that. So there was it was hard to get orange juice for a while, and I'm supposed to take orange juice with my medicine, and so it I could get it, but not usually the cheaper brands, and so or maybe it was only the the high pulp or something, which I don't like pulp. It's like, okay, this is probably gonna gross someone out, but it feels like there's maggots in my juice. And so that's what I think when I drink pulp. I'm like, oh, it feels like the pulp is wiggling around in my mouth like maggots. So I do not like pulp, needless to say. And so for a while there was only the pulp one, and so I'm glad to see there is more no pulp orange juice at this point, so I don't gag every time I drink it. So that's nice. My dad eats a lot of soup and also canned chili, and for a while I wasn't able to really get him any except for some weird flavors. And so today he didn't need any, but I got him a few anyway because there was finally normal flavors again. Not much. Like the sections are still pretty much empty, but there was at least a little bit on the shelves that I could get him a little bit of, a can each of something that's more like he would normally eat. So that was nice. The bread is now more available. For a while it was pretty hard to get any sandwich bread, but that's pretty well stocked now. So was able to get sandwich bread. And yeah, trying to think what else was out or has been out. Oh, weird today. I had to buy sandwich bags, like baggies, and the size that we were out of was the snack size, so it's like half a sandwich size. If you've never used that one, sandwich size is like the size of bread, and this one's half. And so convenient when you're storing something, small. And they're almost out of that size. Like, they had a lot of quart size, but what the heck? Why wasn't there snack size? I did find one, like not even the store brand, but some other off-brand, not name brand, which I don't care. It doesn't have to be name brand. But they did have a few boxes in this one brand, but all the others, all the what do you call them? The name brands and the store brands were all out of the snack size. Like, that was just a weird thing to be out of. Not the end of the world, but it was weird. Trisha says, here in southwestern PA, they have raised the price on eggs. Get them before they raise the price where you are. Oh man, the price is already so high in California, I don't even look at it anymore. So, curious though, if you wouldn't mind commenting, Patricia, what is now the price of eggs that you think it's high? Because I bet that's cheap here, whatever it is. So when they're available, cheap store eggs here for a dozen is about $2 or $3, in that range, depending on, which store you're going to and whatever. But they can go up to anywhere up to, for like free range, organic, local, blah, blah, blah. They can go up to, $7 a dozen. Oh wow, that is a jump. So they were $1.79, now $3.99. Yeah, yikes. Doubled. I have been keeping us pretty well stocked in eggs because I eat a lot of eggs. I was vegetarian for a long time. I'm not anymore, but I don't eat a lot of meat. I might eat meat 1 or 2 meals a week at this point. So mostly I get my protein from lentils or eggs or cheese. And so eggs I eat usually 1 or 2 a day. So I always keep us pretty well stocked with eggs. Haven't seen a price jump yet, but I will definitely keep an eye if that starts to be a problem here. Because, yeah, that would be sad because they're already, around $3 a dozen if I can get the cheap ones, but they keep running out of those, so I end up paying more anyway. If they raise the price again, I think I'm going to have to start eating, like, chicken instead of eggs because it'll be cheaper. Brown eggs were $2.50 and now $4 to $5 in southwestern PA. Ugh. Yeah. I had to get brown eggs, like a local organic free range brown eggs a couple weeks ago because it was all that they had. They were sold out of all the cheap eggs. And I prefer them for flavor. Like, I get really spoiled when I'm riding because I am usually going through places where people have chickens or their neighbors have chickens or something, and so I get really used to farm fresh eggs and I love them. Like, they're so much better than store eggs. But I'm also a poor college student, so I'd buy the cheap ones when I'm home. And so I had to buy the expensive brown ones a couple weeks ago, and they were so good. But they were so expensive. They were like $5 a dozen or something. My goodness. Leah says, I can get eggs where my horse is bored. Love farm fresh eggs. Oh my god, they're just the best. Like, I just fangirl over farm eggs. I wish I could get them here. I wish I could have chickens here. But it's not allowed with our zoning. And we have almost an acre. There's room for chickens, but it's not zoned for chickens. And so we're not allowed to have them, even though if we were, because we're in the unincorporated county, if we were in the city limits with like a postage stamp backyard, we could have chickens. But we're not, and so we cannot have chickens. It's stupid, but that's just how it is. So, um, no chickens here. And I don't know anyone with chickens around here, or at least none that have extra eggs. So sad. Someday, someday I will get my own chickens again. I used to have lots of chickens before when I lived in Colorado. So it was, I always had fresh eggs and it was wonderful. Leah says, I'm in Pittsburgh, a block away from me there are chickens. That's nice. I love chickens, like, not as much as I love horses, but pretty close. Like, if I was allowed to have chickens here, I would be that crazy chicken lady. And I used to teach classes on how to raise chicks, and I would raise chicks for sale for people who didn't want to raise them, that didn't want to have a brooder and the heat lamp and all that stuff. So I'd raise them and then sell them, and they're just so much fun. And anyway, and I trained them. I had trained chickens because they're smarter than some people think. Like, they can't learn a lot, but they can learn. They are not entirely stupid. And so I would train them to different cues, mostly with different whistles. So, one whistle would mean to do something, and a different whistle would mean to do something else. And useful things, like I never ever had to chase my chickens to get them back in the coop if I needed to close it up in the day, because they were trained to go inside when I told them to. And so it's really not that hard to do because they're very food motivated. And so if you have chickens and you don't like chasing them around to catch them, just teach them to come when you whistle for them, and then feed them when you whistle. And really, that's about it. That's all it takes. And they will learn. It doesn't have to be a whistle. I also had a few for a while that were trained accidentally to the sound of a potato chip bag. And because they love potato chips. It's not good for them. Like, don't give them like boatloads of potato chips because it's way too much salt for them. But like a teeny tiny piece here or there to just get their attention and get, connected that, hey, this crinkle bag noise, which is very unique, crinkle a bag and give them, it doesn't even have to, you could put something else in it. It doesn't have to be potato chips. You could put chicken scratch in there. And they will just come when they hear that bag. Let's see. A comment here. It's been lovely listening to you. 1 a.m. here in London. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad you've been enjoying it. That's really late. Let's see. Oh, a whole bunch of comments coming in here. Leah says, sound like my mare, food motivated. Most animals are. So add some motivation in there in the form of something delicious, and you can get pretty much anything to do what you want. And yep. Okay. So, yeah. So, why were we even talking about chickens? Oh yes, from the store eggs. Yeah. I also like duck eggs, but I don't know anyone with ducks. And duck eggs here are like, I forget, it's been a while since I've looked. Somewhere for a half a dozen, like you can't even buy them by the dozen here. For a half a dozen, it's like $6 or something. It's, $1 an egg. That's, I can't afford that. So I don't eat duck eggs right now, but I used to have ducks and had fresh duck eggs, and that was fantastic. Duck eggs are, Yeah, duck eggs are more flavorful, I guess, than chicken eggs. If you've never had a duck egg, it's still eggy. Like, it still tastes like an egg, but it's like an egg on flavor steroids. It's just extra flavor. And it, they kind of, the outside, even if you've cleaned them really well, I can still detect a hint of duck, which is kind of gross because ducks are disgusting. Um, but they taste great, so it's worth it. Um, I also had geese and had some goose eggs, and those are huge. Um, Not particularly, I don't know. I didn't think the flavor was anything special compared to other eggs, but um, they were really big. And so it was like 2 or 3 regular chicken eggs for a duck egg. I mean, for a goose egg. So, significant quantities in a goose egg. So that was pretty cool. And I had a neighbor when I was in Colorado. I had a neighbor briefly who raised quail. And so we had quail eggs that were fresh. And those are not worth the effort. I know they're supposed to be a delicacy. I know they are very expensive, but they are a pain in the neck. Those teeny tiny little quail eggs, and there's hardly anything in there. And I suppose the flavor is gourmet, except there's like so little in there that how are you even supposed to taste it? So I wasn't really impressed with quail eggs, but it was an experience. But man, even if you hard boil them, um, then you have to peel them all. Or if you're just trying to crack them, then you have to crack these little tiny, it's pain. Apparently we have an argument going on here about duck eggs. Patricia says yuck, and Leah says they're good. They're not for everybody, that's for sure. They are definitely strongly flavored. And so that's off-putting to some people. There was a brief time when I wouldn't eat them. When I owned the ducks, initially I ate them, and then for a while I gave them away because ducks are the most disgusting of any of the birds. I had chickens, ducks, geese, a turkey, and I guess that's it. There's another bird I'm forgetting. Anyway, the ducks are nasty. They are born that way. They like to foul up their water just because they can, I think. Like, even when they're newly hatched and you put them with a clean little drinking water, like not even enough for them to climb in, they nasty it up inside of minutes. It's amazing. And they like to find the nastiest water they can and then poop in it and then play in it and then drink it. And then they lay eggs. And then I was thinking about how when you feed your chickens different things, you get different free range eggs taste different because the chickens are eating different things. And then it makes the eggs taste a little bit different because the chicken has different nutrients that are going into that egg to some degree. And then I was thinking about it, and the ducks eat like poop water. And so that's going in their eggs, and that's disgusting. And then I couldn't eat them for a while. But I try not to think about it when I have duck eggs now, and I just enjoy them because they do taste good. Let's see. Patricia says the moon is huge. I would love to see that, except it's raining here. So I don't get to see the moon today. But thank you for the recommendation. For anyone watching, if you don't have cloud cover, go out and see the huge moon. And meanwhile, I'm going to stay in here and stay dry because it's raining again. And yeah, done with that. Luckily, it stopped raining while I was out running my errands. And so I didn't have to deal with that also, but now it's raining. So, alas. Um, so I've been going out to howl at the moon at 8 p.m. on every night, but not actually every night because I will not go out when it's raining. Like, my mom says I'm a fair weather howler. Like, I don't like it that much that I'm going to go out in the rain and howl. So my dad and I have been howling at the moon together at 8 o'clock every night, and except when it's raining. And we both get a kick at it. We just laugh hysterically. We howl, and sometimes I yip like a coyote, and then sometimes he barks, and then we howl some more, and then we laugh hysterically, and then we howl some more, and we laugh hysterically until we both lose our voices, and then we go inside. And I invited my mom to come out with us last time it wasn't raining, and she was like, no, you guys are crazy. And so she came out for like 10 seconds just to hear what we were doing and immediately went back inside. I think she was embarrassed. So, Linda says, thanks for heads up on the bank. That's my chore tomorrow. Yeah. Make sure you have everything signed too before you go in if you can, because like with them not wanting you to stand so close, or at least at this bank, it's not like you can go up to the counter and use it to sign your checks because you're not supposed to stand that close. So, try to be all ready. Because if your bank makes you stand 6 feet away, you're not going to be able to use the counter to get yourself organized, as I tend to do. So there's that too. So anyway, I cannot believe how long I talked today. That was a whole hour. So thanks for sticking with me, guys, and I hope you enjoyed that. I am going to go drink my tea that's probably now cold, and yeah. So I will be back tomorrow at 4. And I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, but I'll figure it out and have something to share with you tomorrow at 4. So that's 4 Pacific, 5 Mountain, 6 Central, 7 Eastern, and so I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.